How's it going, guys? My name is Jerry with Aesthetic Auto Detailing, and today we're gonna talk about my maintenance list on what I do to keep my equipment running efficiently.
All right, Jerry. First question is, do you feel detailers know what they need to maintain for their setup and equipment, or not really? Did you know when you started?
Yes and no. It was a little bit of trial and error, like I always tell you guys. I had like a general idea. Obviously, like a generator needs to be maintained, but over time, little things started to either get broken down or clogged up, or for example, the water tank gets to you get floaties every once in a while. So over the years, I just started to learn, like, okay, I haven't done this in a while. Let me work on it really quick.
All right, Jerry. So what's the first thing new detailers should know that they need to maintenance?
So number one for sure is a generator. You got to make sure that you're keeping fresh oil, making sure that you check like the oil level. Sometimes the drawstring, or the pull string, when you pull it, sometimes it starts to get really worn out and get thin. I've had a lot of my generators, I have about 3 or 4 generators. So over time, sometimes they snap on me.
So you mentioned your dad's pretty handy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, what about all those guys that don't have dads, bro?
You know what?
YouTube University?
Yeah, YouTube University. Actually, from a very young age, he used to always teach me, like, all right, you need to be able to do an oil change on your vehicle, or you need to do this, you need to do that. So when it comes to like maintaining my own vehicle, I'm down with it, man. I like to do the oil change. I like to make sure all of my fluids are topped off, stuff like that. This stuff, I try to do it myself, but sometimes I doubt myself and I'm kind of like, oh, and then I'll just have my dad look over it. So I am fortunate enough to have his help. I do know that people would rather just send it in, but sometimes, like if you take a car into a mechanic shop or the dealership, they're gonna charge you top dollar. My dad, he saved me so much money. He's actually helped other detailers as well with their equipment. Hey, but let me know, guys, do you guys do your own oil change, or do you guys have somebody do it for you? Let me know down in the comments below. All right, guys, so I pre-made a list of what I thought that is very important to be maintained. So if you guys think of anything else, drop it down in the comments below. But as of right now, I have oil change on your generator leak. So sometimes your generator is a gasket. They start to leak, get broken down over time. If you guys want a video on any of these things, let me know and we'll make something for you. I already talked about this pull string, gets worn out sometimes. Pressure washer O-rings, very big thing. Over time, they start to get worn out. And if you guys have had that situation to where you're using the pressure washer, water is either dripping from the bottom or it's dripping from where you put the little, the tip, the quick connect. Usually it's just a bad O-ring. That's all it is. I would show you guys, but I swapped mine out a couple weeks ago.
Let me ask you something. When you first had that problem of it leaking, did you know what it was, or did you need to do some research?
Honestly, I kind of knew what it was already, just because, like, growing up, I used to always see my dad just using other things, so I knew that they take O-rings. Yeah. So when I saw something like that, we have O-ring kits already. So I actually wanted to show you guys, how something like this, just like standard O-rings, and then, they have different sizes and everything. They're a little mixed up just because they've been kind of shaking around in the van. But something like this, very simple, and it'll save you a lot of money in the long run. Correct quick connect fittings, that stuff helps out. I believe it's called the Live quick connect. So when you're moving around with the hose, this and that, it moves freely, versus you turning and the hose kind of gets dragged with it. It's a pain. It takes a toll over a while. Clean your water tank. I talked about that. You get floaties. What you want to do is you empty out your whole tank, give it a whole nice little scrub, try to loosen everything that's like caked up or built up on the walls. You'll be good.
Let me ask you something. When you say floaties, what do you mean? Dirt, algae, mold?
So for me, I noticed a couple years ago, it was algae. You know, it starts to look green. At first, I noticed it because my foam cannon was starting to get clogged up. And we cleaned it, we swapped out the little filter, and then it happened again. So then I started looking in the tank, and I started seeing some on the walls, and then that's when I realized, like, okay, gotta start doing this more frequently. But this isn't, you know, my beginner days, so now when I have some downtime, which is kind of not really, but you gotta make sure to kind of take some time and make sure that everything's taken care, you know, or maintained properly like that, or else you're gonna start, you know, clogging up your filters, clogging up the pressure washer. You don't want any of that.
And how often do you try to clean the tank? Once every 3 months, 6 months, yearly?
So really what I've been doing, and it's just kind of been working for me, is yearly. If I see that it's starting to get a little floaties here and there, I might do it even more than that. But I feel like I'm more very conscious on, you know, taking a look at it, seeing if I see any floaties. Just because you don't want to be washing people's cars like that, you know.
I got you, man.
Yeah.
And now going back just a little bit, how often do you change the oil on the pressure wash? On the was the generator? Or
Yeah, the generator. Yeah.
On the generator.
So I believe it says to change every 100 hours of work, which mine's got a bunch of hours on it. My generator had a leak on it, so I would say maybe every week or 2 weeks I would have to add some oil. So, you know, I was just kind of like, oh well, it's getting new oil here and there. But we fixed the leak, so now I'm still trying to be mindful of, you know, the hours and all that. But not perfect, guys. You guys already know how it is. Sometimes you burn through the oil. Just add some and you're good as new.
All right, Jerry. How do you feel about those detailers? And it might be even you that quote unquote Mickey Mouse it, meaning quick fixes, duct tape, you know, do this and that, tools to get the job done. Is that only on emergencies? Make it last, or don't do that?
I would say only as emergency, because you start Mickey Mousing things and it's gonna cost you more money in the long run. Yeah, that's just me though. I understand money gets tight sometimes, but you know, if you're gonna spend the money, it's probably gonna last you longer. Yeah, it just saves you a headache in the long run. Yeah.
Got it.
So after that, I have maintenance on your work vehicle. You know, once again, I know money's tight. I know not everybody's mechanically inclined. I know how to do the basics like brakes, oil change. When it kind of comes to anything else like that, my dad, you know, he helps me out. So I try to stay on top of oil change, try to stay on top of, you know, my tires, make sure they get rotated, make sure the coolant is topped off, just everything. Because if you don't have your work vehicle, you know, you're not gonna be able to go to your clients.
Hey, so I'm working with a detailer. His van has no AC.
Oh yeah.
Should he invest into fixing it or just tough it out?
You know what? If he's used to it, bro, I'll power to him, because my work truck, it didn't have AC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not have AC at all. It has a heater.
Yeah.
But I got used to it, bro. I was just like whipping the truck in like 111 degrees, just had the window down. The only time I would get some kind of cold air was when I was, you know, going on the freeway. But he's probably just thinking like, hey, this money could go to something else. So I get it. Yeah. Another thing is to make sure you carry tools. It doesn't have to be, you know, extravagant set of tools or anything. A screwdriver, you know, a wrench or whatever, stuff like that. They really come in handy, because sometimes I've had little things that need to get tightened, and you can only tighten it so much with your hand, you know. So that stuff comes in handy. A battery pack, a charger, for example, for cars. I was working on this Maybach, and the car was off. The car was completely off, but I found out that I killed the client's battery, supposedly. And it's never happened to me before. I've never killed anybody's battery before in all 7 years that I've been in business. And it was really bothering me. I took it personally. And I started realizing that the door hinges, they pretty much stop in any position you put them in. I started realizing that takes power. So I'm thinking that's probably what happened. Long story short, I had a battery pack. I was able to just give it a jump real quick, solve the issue, we let it run for a little bit. I was, you know, back to running. So I'd really suggest something like that. Last but not least, clean towels. Make sure you have your clean towels. Make sure you have all your chemicals filled up. Gloves, you know, if you need gloves, sometimes you're working with, you know, nasty stuff. Spray bottles and nozzles. Those come a long way also. Sometimes I'm spraying a certain chemical and the nozzle just won't start, it won't start spraying. Or sometimes you even drop a bottle and they bust. That happens too. I know a lot of people like to travel light, but sometimes just having little spare things like that really save you time and money. So that's the list that I came up with. You know, if you guys have any suggestions, any ideas, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys want to see a video on us doing anything specific, like doing an oil change on your generator or changing the filters or the O-rings, let me know. We'll make a video for you guys.
Jerry, since you brought up chemicals, towels, I have a couple questions.
Yeah, definitely.
You're in the middle of a detail. You realize you're out of your favorite chemical. What do? Do you go to the store? Do you find another chemical just to get the job done? What would you say?
You know what? That's a great question. It's actually happened to me before. I think that's when it comes in handy to kind of being informed on what certain chemicals do what. For example, sometimes maybe I was just been busy and I didn't bring a spare gallon of degreaser, for example, you know, and I'm doing wheels and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, let me go fill it up. I don't have any more degreaser. I can use Brake Buster, you know, I can use that. Or if I'm doing shampooing and I run out of either Terminator or I run out of a Carpet Bomber, I have New Clean because that's an APC. I can use that. Run out of window cleaner. I don't have any window cleaner, but I do have P&S paint prep, you know, stuff like that. It really comes in handy to be informed of what does what, and also to know if a certain chemical is going to, you know, damage something in direct sunlight, or, you know, some chemicals don't match well with leather or stuff like that.
What about towels?
Yeah, towels.
You run out. Has that ever happened?
Oh yeah, many times. That honestly, that's something that I struggle with because it's not so much that I run out of it, but because I have a good amount of every color. I have each color designated for a certain job. But it's when I wash the towels and they're all fresh, I like to fold them and have them in my van nicely. But I use them really fast, so then I have to wash them again. It takes a lot of time to fold them, so sometimes I just have the bag. They have them in like a trash bag or whatever, you know. We just pull them from there. But if I do run out of a specific color designated for a specific job, I'll try to be mindful and use it to like its next job kind of thing. So for example, I use I use those big towels, from the purple ones from Max Shine. I forget what they're called. I want to say they're like tank towels or something. If they're too wet or if they get dirty, I'll use the little blue microfiber towels. You know, that's only supposed to touch like a clean vehicle. If I run out of window towels, I'll most likely use those little blue towels on the windows. My yellow towels I use for just about anything, like dirty jobs, you know. So I try to keep those for that. But I think it's a great idea to, you know, keep certain colors designated for certain jobs. And I feel like a lot of people do that. All right, guys, so if you guys have any other questions, you know, pertaining to maintaining your vehicle or maintaining, you know, detailing equipment, feel free to drop it down in the comments below. I'll do my best, you know, to make a video to help you out. And if you guys have any suggestions as well, please feel free to let me know. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay blessed.